Hello and welcome to the Michael Mama Show. I'm your host, Michael Mamas. I'm coming to you from Mount Soma, home of the Sri Someshwar Temple in the mountains. Today we have a special treat. I think a lot of you know Adrienne Dewey. When did you first start the school? Back in the 90s?
90s, yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah, and she lives with her husband and her kids. Of course, the older one now is in college.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You started in San Diego.
Yeah.
I remember you. I remember. Yeah, it was a class there. I forget the area.
That's right.
And we had a room there, and you drove a friend or something.
Yeah, I drove a friend. Actually, she wanted me to drive with her out there. And then I went in to just kind of listen to your intro.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I was thinking your intro was going to be 15 minutes. It was like 2 hours.
Really?
Which was great.
Yeah.
And I had all these kind of pieces
Yeah, and the
of
thing,
life.
I remember.
And then just everything just came together. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm signing up for this before I leave town, which I did.
I remember. So. Yeah, and that's, I remember. You weren't even planning on coming to class. You were just driving your friend.
Right. I was driving with her.
And then you came. I remember this. You came up to me and said, "Can I just sit in for the beginning?"
He said you can sit in for the intro. And so at 15 minutes, I was thinking you were going to be like, okay, see ya. And then 2 hours later, you were like, okay. And I was like, oh my God. It was amazing, though. It was just what I needed to hear.
You know, it's a great knowledge.
It's amazing.
And it's amazing that, yeah, and it's amazing that sometimes some people hear it and they say, man, that clicks. And other times it takes a long time. I don't know, I think it's past life stuff, you know.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think I've been doing this stuff and for a long time. I was looking all over the world, so to speak, before, and I just thought, I guess the knowledge, whatever it is I'm looking for and I'm starving for, is just not here. And then I walked to that class and did your intro, and literally everything just clicked. This is what I've been looking for my whole life.
Because it's not just about the facts. I mean, you can read the facts, you know, read one book on Hinduism or whatever, and you think you get it, but it's different when it touches that place inside where you already knew it, you know.
That's right, right. That Vedic knowledge was just, it was amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, what we're gonna do today, I thought it'd be fun that we have Adrienne here, which is a delight. Yeah. Adrienne's a lot of fun. She's one of those people that, you know, when you're around her, you just smile, you know, she's a lot of fun. But I thought what we would do today, because she's been busy with her family and stuff, so she didn't hear the past couple podcasts. Yeah. So I wanted to introduce this whole thing. The idea, Adrienne, is that I've been into pu'er tea. Do you know what that is? Pu'er, it's from China, and they all the different main teas, white tea, green tea, oolong tea, pu'er tea, they all come from the same one tea plant, but it's processed differently. And pu'er, it's actually fermented. And so it has all this good stuff, all these bacteria for the gut, and the benefits of pu'er are extensive. But it's an unbelievable subtle craft. It's a subtle art, how you brew the pu'er. And the little thing, if a little thing changes, the same tea, it's just completely different. And so traditionally, you know, they prepare it as almost like a ritual, just because it's so delicate, it has to be done so properly. But my God, and I've learned a lot, and they'll say this too, I've learned a lot about myself, because basically you're drinking water, you know, it's not like, you know, you have Coke and you have 7-Up and you have orange soda and they're all just bam different. Yeah. The differences are subtle but profound. And you see these, it's a lot of fun, because you see these guys on YouTube or whatever that are experts and selling teas and stuff. And this one, I detect a slight hint of, you know, this type of flower or whatever. And I know when I first started exploring pu'er, it was like, it's just tea, you know?
Yeah.
But then you start to get into it, and it's a whole, and this is why it's so cool, because it relates to life, and it cultures your relationship with life, and it also maps so beautifully onto what I've been talking about with these sumo deadlifts and sumo, and because these are fundamental principles, and they apply to everything. And I've been talking about Dharma Veda. Dharma Veda is a branch of Veda that, if you talk to the average person about Dharma Veda, they say, oh, that's weapons, that's fighting, that's for war. But that's a very superficial understanding of Dharma Veda. You know how you see these, like even Ganesha, I don't know if you can see it in the camera. You look at these different murtis, these different statues of the different gods, and a lot of them have 10 arms and they're all different weapons. And it's kind of like, oh geez, weapons, you know. At first it's a little strange. And how does that relate to Dharma Veda? Well, what those weapons really are more superficial expressions, you could say it that way, technologies within the very structure of the unified field itself. And so each of the weapons brings out another pathway or another component to the mechanics of creation that is the source of the mechanics of all of existence. And so if you study Dharma Veda on that level, it aligns the awareness, it aligns the physiology to those subtleties that so beautifully map onto sumo deadlifting and so beautifully map onto sampling pu'er tea. And all of those things cultivate physiology. So I started writing a book about it, and it was a really good book. And at one point I thought, okay, that's enough text, now we can just put it together. And I was saving it all on AI. And then I said to AI one time, you know, call up the book so I can. And they lost it. They lost over half of it.
No.
And I didn't know what to think of that at first, but I think it was a blessing. It down to what I call the Sumo Sutras, which are right out of Dharma Veda. Oh, and they're also, and this is very cool, Dharma Veda maps beautifully onto the internal arts. You know, in Chinese, you know, they talk about the internal martial arts, and it's, again, I didn't even put this together until this instant, but it's about fighting too.
Yeah.
But real internal arts, I won't say that that's not real, but the deeper understanding of internal arts is more about the inner mechanics of how the physiology works.
Right.
And so when I do deadlifting, when I do sumo deadlifting, I do it based on the internal arts. And it's amazing how different it is.
Yeah.
Because like traditionally, I think you would say, or if you go to a gym locally or something, it's all about force, and it's about, you know, tighten every muscle in the body and compress the abdomen and hold it tight and like that.
Yeah.
Dharma Veda, and even verses right out of Dharma Veda, and also these internal arts masters from China, the ancient literature is there, you know, and it's, you don't move the bar moves itself. And it all comes from the ground. And see how that maps onto the spiritual principles of life itself. It's what's the ground map onto? The transcendent, the depth of your being. And if you connect to the depth of your being, then the physiology, it flows effortlessly. So you don't move the bar moves itself, or you could say the earth moves the bar, that kind of a thing. And also just like the same thing with tea, pu'er tea. You can get really fine pu'er tea. There are all kinds of different pu'er, and some of them are unbelievably expensive. There's this, I forget, there's this one tree in China, it's 1,000 years old.
Oh.
I think they pay $150 a gram, which means that a cup of pu'er tea would be $750, or I don't know. So anyway, outrageous. But you know, you can get reasonably priced pu'er tea. about the same as coffee per cup, I would guess. But where was I? If you are hurried and busy, drink a cup of pure tea, just tea.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's why they have rituals. I don't do it that way, but they do. We have rituals where traditional way of preparing it, sitting, because first you have to rest into the self. Because otherwise you're just drinking tea, you're just drinking Lipton, you're just drinking water. So, rooted in the earth, you see, and then you sample the tea, you get these subtle little nuances, hints of this flower, or this one's a little less. And that's something that you cultivate. Now, this is really interesting. When I first did it, it was like, these guys are just hallucinating, you know? And so first I had to get into the zone. I wasn't drinking, comparing, you know, grape soda to orange soda to Coca-Cola. I was comparing subtle nuances that are sourced very deeply within the tea. And what that does then is it helps cultivate it within your life.
Yeah.
It changes your life. Just drinking these different teas and sampling these different teas might sound silly. And it's the same with deadlifting, sumo deadlifting. Now, I stumbled upon sumo deadlifting in a very interesting way. I just was getting out of shape a little bit, and I thought I got to start working out, so I did. And then I started doing traditional deadlifts, and it was just not good. And so then somehow I stumbled on sumo, and I don't really remember how I even stumbled upon it. But I realized this is something very different. And they say that too, people that are into the internal arts of sumo deadlifting. It's unlike any other exercise. And it talks about, and this maps so beautifully onto the ancient Chinese. The ancient Chinese talked about the silk web, and that through the whole body there's a silk web. And in the West now, they're just getting onto this more. The silk web is the fascia. And I've talked to you, I think you remember in classes. Fascia permeates every organ and muscle and everything, the whole body, bone, everything. And also then there are different levels of it where it's like a sheath that wraps around the bones and holds the bones like a sack, kind of like. And then some would include tendons and ligaments. Now we're getting into definitions of whether, so many would say that's not fascia, but the idea is it's a connective tissue web that permeates the whole body. And this is so cool because if you were to pick up and carry a 20-pound bag of groceries, you feel it in your shoulder, and you're carrying it with your shoulder, it's localized.
Right.
But if the whole fascial physiology is integrated, then it disperses over the whole physiology and you don't even feel it. And that's called, what do they call that? You know Buckminster Fuller, the guy who did the geodesic domes?
Yeah.
Same principle is that the weight isn't localized on one pillar holding up the whole building. It's distributed through the whole structure, just like the fascia.
Yeah.
And so cultivating the fascia is like working with this silk web, which is the fascia web.
Yeah.
And the thing is that in the fascia, just like silk, it can get snagged here and there. And when it gets snagged, it doesn't flow. And also, oftentimes when you say, I've got a tight muscle, it's not the muscle that's tight, it's the fascia.
Yeah.
And so if you unsnag the fascia, which is a different procedure, you unsnag the fascia and then everything's fine.
Yeah.
So it's all about the fascia.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a very interesting thing. The fascia wraps and goes around. It's not just all straight lines. It's a complex web.
Yeah.
And it wraps around the legs and comes up and goes through the pelvis and into the lower abdomen. In fact, all the different fascia, all the different fascial planes, all root in the same one area, which is the hara. Isn't that cool? And so that's sort of like the right elbow is connected to the left knee through the hara.
Yeah.
You know, there are minor connections. It's all central. And so in Western approach to deadlifting, tighten up the abdomen, hold it tight. And I remember when I first did it, I was like, that does not feel right. But then I got onto the internal arts and said, no, it's not. It's, what do they say? It's not about a tension of holding. It's about it's a beautiful word for it. It's an integration. It comes from there. And so the abdominal cavity isn't forced, but it's integrated. Just like geodesic dome, you know?
Yeah.
And so the whole process then of sumo deadlifting, they're so beautiful. First, it's about getting the basic structure, the basic geometry, how to do the deadlift. You know, and there are different principles, and you can study all the different principles ad nauseum, and they're all helpful.
Yeah.
But once you learn the structure, and there's a beautiful moment really when you do it for internal arts in general, just like what you had when you first came to class, it clicked.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you're working on sumo, trying to do sumo, you get in the position, you know your structure is right, the geometry is just right, but all of a sudden, just a subtle little difference, and they call it opens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the light goes on, and when it opens, the whole physiology just feels open. And you're no longer trying to hold the structure. It's like the earth holds the whole thing.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
and this applies to life. When you're talking to a person, if you're in a confrontation or something like that, number one, you got to stay, people say grounded, but really it's established in the self. Grounded is a mapping, but you establish in the self. And then it's so cool too, because, you know, one approach to the fashion and all that is to do the horse stance. You know the horse stance? You just, you know, you're down there bending your knees or whatever, and you just stand there and just hold it. Yeah. And then the idea being that if you keep holding it, and you'll get that click, and and all of a sudden it's effortless in a way, and you feel it open. But now there's a big difference in that now you have to move. It's one thing to get it in one posture, in one position, okay. But now you start to move. And so it's like a progression of one instant to the next, kind of like the mandalas, no difference, no difference, no difference. But you go through the whole process of the movement, and every step of the way, it remains open. And that's sumo when you actually, instead of you're in the posture, like the horse stance, which basically looks like a horse stance, now you go through the whole motion up and down, and you got to stay open. The structure has to stay right, but it's not just the structure, the subtle quality of the structure. The way you really know the structure is right is you feel that thing, it's open. And you go through the whole thing like that. Now, there's another facet to it, and that's the weight. It's a lot easier to maintain the structure and stay open if you're only lifting 5 pounds. Yeah. But then you start adding, you know, what aspire to do. but that's how it works. And it's the same in life. Yeah. If you're talking to somebody, okay, fine, you're grounded, but if the argument gets heated, do you stay grounded? Does it stay integrated? Can you keep your balance? And there's that whole field of Vedic knowledge called Dharma Veda. It talks about that in detail. And so in my book and in some of my notes, I may publish just the notes. I call them Sumo Sutras, or brief copy of some of them. It talks about that. Oh, and remember, Adrienne, in classes I would talk about being, merging, knowing, and doing. And stuff, and also it's the same in sumo deadlifting, the same in tea, the same in life.
Yeah.
It applies to everything.
Yeah.
And so first the idea is you get established in your own being, your own sense of your own self. And then whatever it is you're working with, you merge with it. And through that merging, you start to know it. Just like with sumo deadlifting, you get in the posture, and you feel into it, you merge with it, and then as you merge with it, you start to know it. And through that knowing, then comes that click. I'm one with it, so to speak, if you want to speak it poetically. And then from there is the doing, the lift. The emerging knowing and doing. And that's also right there in the internal arts. Now, one of the, I'm just a beginner with all this, really, when it comes to sumo deadlifting and certainly Tai Chi and all that. But one of the problems that I personally see with Tai Chi, and admittedly I stand corrected, these masters are way beyond, but if you spend too much time memorizing the movement and this and that, it's hard to do that and stay open, keep that physiology open the whole time. It's hard enough to get that point of open just in the horse stance.
Right.
And then once you get in the horse stance, to do the deadlift up and down, and then to start adding weights.
Yeah.
Can you stay open that whole time?
Yeah.
And what that does, because you see, you don't want to go through life saying, oh, I gotta stay grounded and do this and be emerging and all that. The spontaneity of the whole thing. So that it's just your natural mode of function. Saying it pragmatically, it nips things at the bud a little faster. You're going to get bent out of shape. You're going to get upset. We're human. But at least as you explore the tea, as you explore the deadlifting, as you explore being, merging, knowing, and doing, I tell the story about my little, had that kite string, remember that? It was all tangled up, and oh, she was crying, and oh. Settled out for a second, and she did. And I said, okay, now there's the knotted up string, I said, let's just look at it a little bit. And now let's just touch it some, and maybe pull on this string, and let's look at what happens to the knots. And then pull on this one. See, we're merging. And through that merging, I showed her that now we start to know, understand it, we start to know it. And once you get to that point and you start to know it, then the doing is obvious. Oh, well, here's this string here. It's got the whole thing screwed up. So let's take it and unfan that, pull that out. And then we explore some more, now some more knowing. You got your string. Being, merging, knowing, doing, it's everywhere.
It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's everything.
When you're in an argument with somebody, first you get to establish your own being, then you understand. You start to merge with them. You start to feel them. And from that, you start to know the lay of the land. And only then do you kind of really. I also taught these principles.
I was about to say healing.
In fact, that came from hands-on healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's integral.
Yeah. When I used to teach hands-on healing, everybody, give me a technique. I want to know. Upside down. It's not about memorizing another technique. That's the doing. Everybody wants to jump to the doing. First you be, then you put your hands on the client and you feel. And through that feeling, you come to know what's going on with the physiology. And that's why I used to say, if you can feel it, you can heal it. Yeah. Because then you know what's going on. And then it's obvious there's a knot here. Let's just help it
grasping about some technique.
Yeah.
And you start working with that inner structure, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
That quantum mechanical level of existence in everything that you're doing.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then it just unravels itself.
Right.
The bar lifts itself. It's the earth moves the bar.
I love that.
Yeah, and then sometimes you appreciate the flavor of the different teas and the aroma of the different teas and all, but you have to be rooted to do it. There's some teas that I really like, but if it's 3 in the afternoon and I'm busy working and I take a sip of it, it's just tea. Might as well be drinking Lipton almost. But at the same time, and my favorite time really to sample teas is early in the morning. I would do it at night too, except that it has a little caffeine in it.
Right.
So I like sitting with early in the morning. I'm settled and sampling these different teas, and it cultivates, I'm telling you, it cultivates something in your physiology, your life, your awareness. It's a teacher. And they'll say that, you know, the tea is a teacher. Single deadlifting is a teacher. All of this is a teacher. Being, merging, knowing, and doing is a teacher. But we don't do it. We tend to override that. I used to say, remember, I used to say when I taught hands-on healing, you were in all those classes, and I used to say, people don't know how to feel.
Right.
We've lost the ability to feel. Now I'm talking about subtle feeling, which is why people want crude feeling. They need a sledgehammer before they can feel it. So they intense music or things that store intense emotions in one direction or another. At least now you're feeling, for goodness. The sublime value of life emerges. And then finesse, that's where finesse comes from. It comes from that subtle ability to feel in your conversations. Can you feel when the alignment is there and the alignment of the body, you know? And it's a subtle difference between this and this, you know?
Yeah.
Just a little shift and it makes all the difference. You know, it's funny because I had this list here of some of the Sumo Sutras. And I was thinking, oh, I'll just sit down with Adrienne and we'll just pull one out at random and start talking about it. Stuff, but they are beautiful. One like load the earth, you know, you don't load your muscles and stuff, you load the earth. You know, the earth moves the bar through you, you know, you don't move the geometry precedes strength. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alignment unifies intention. Scattered energy becomes one beam. Oh, scattered, it's like one pillar. This is another interesting one. See, you learn things. They say, it talks about breath. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Breath maintains the pressure. Because you see, it's not like flaccid. There's a pressure in the body. When it's all aligned and stuff, it's not like limp. Quite the contrary. But it's not effort.
Right.
It's effortless tone.
Yeah.
And then they talk about how the pressure, breath are into it. And I remember, okay, should I breathe in at this stage of the lift or breathe out during that stage of the lift? Or should I hold my breath during stage of the lift? And there are people that'll teach that way. Okay, you know. But really, you can breathe at any stage, provided it's done in a way that maintains the pressure, maintains the tone. Tone is a better word. And I remember learning that, and I was like, oh my God, sometimes during the lift, I'll breathe out. Sometimes I'll hold my breath. point is, it's a symphony, it's a harmony between the breath and the pressure.
Yeah.
You get that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay. There's just a good one. And this is good, boy, if you're interacting with people, or particularly if it's uncomfortable, know the exact point where effort becomes distortion. Mm-hmm. And stop there.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
a good one.
Yeah. Not so easy to do it, but it can be cultivated. Yeah. And sumo and drinking tea, because see, even with tea, with tea, what you're talking about, that's the brewing process. And it's so subtle. I mean, how long you steep it. Are you pushing the tea too much? Have you now exhausted the tea? But then there's the outer surface of the tea and there's the inner heart of it. And based on how you brew it, are you just blowing off the tannins from the surface, or are you getting into that heart?
Yes.
And it's the same.
Yeah.
Just like when you're arguing with somebody or trying to deal with a situation or whatever. Yeah. So beautiful. Revelation follows readiness in life, in tea, and sumo. What does that mean? See, it reveals itself when you're ready. And what does ready mean? When the alignment. That's when it opens. That's when it. Same with in a conversation with a person. What does readiness in that situation mean? It means, are you rooted? Are you grounded? Are you settled in the self? Are you aligned with the situation? It is so beautiful. It is the same like with hands-on healing. You're working with somebody, you put your hands, whatever. Come to that from that state of readiness, that then what happens is it opens. You merge with it, you know it, and you know what to do.
It reveals itself.
And that's it reveals. Yeah, there's one. Remember, but something along the lines of strength, holding, or I can't remember it, but it just really underlined clearly how real strength isn't about effort.
Yeah.
Become the geometry. The whole body becomes the geometry, and then things open. I think you can see how that applies to everything.
I mean, I remember in ballet too, it was the same thing.
I bet.
And ballet, there's all this internal stillness and yet heightened awareness. And when you're moving your body and an eighth of an inch, and when you do that, something happens. You're freed. It's the same thing. It's across.
It's that opening clicks.
And it clicks, and you can feel the whole thing just kind of, literally, you just open, and you're light, and you feel like you can kind of fly.
And it's like that too when you get into the conversation with a person.
Yeah.
Now this is actually an interesting thing, because particularly in counseling, because in one sense you're open and you're really communicating with the person. But in life in general, but particularly in counseling, there's a difference. I'm searching for words here. There's a difference between being open as opposed to colluding. Mm-hmm. And you think you're really connecting and stuff, but what are you connecting with there? You're connecting. So you're both holding. You're both holding the same distortion.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Which is.
There's that level where you connect with the person, and there's that merging with the person that's not about the stuff that's happening.
And where is it? No, in T. I can't, trying to remember if it was in deadlifting or in T, but it's in T, I think they use the word. I know they use the word in T, noise. Are you connecting with the noise?
Yes.
Or are you connecting with the essence of the T?
Yes.
And it's the same in counseling. Are you connecting with their noise and the trip they're on?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? It's all the same. But what I really, these things cross-pollinate. If you really do internal arts, and you don't have to do sumo for goodness sake. One thing I like about sumo is number one, it's limited. You're not trying to memorize 50 moves, and I mean, it's hard enough to just hold the horse stance and not move.
Right.
And so then you get this one set of motions. That, but doing this cultivate ability to do it spontaneously throughout all of life. The same with T, the same with hands-on healing. It cultures all of that, provided you approach it from the perspective of the true internal art that life is.
Well, I think that's what you've spent your life trying to teach, is that internal art. You know, all of these principles, you know, how you, it's not even counseling with somebody else. How do you work with yourself internally? You know, it's all that, it's all. If, you know, if distortion gets in, then, you know, it manifests out into your life in distortion.
And there are levels of, you know, like really enlightenment is just being awake, being fully awake to that, what in Suma they call the earth. Being in more spiritual sense, the transcendent, the one thing that underlies. But now there's the hope. And so, okay, that's enlightenment. No, very, I mean, yeah, it's very cool, it really is. But now we're that's
Everything.
That's called immortality. That's a whole different thing. That's the stars in the sky, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why you resonate with this so much, is it's the knowledge.
It's
that,
the knowledge, yeah.
You know, of all life and existence.
And it's also, you're right, and it's also a culturing process. Meditation is the number one thing. Meditation is the thing that gets you established in the transcendent, ultimately what they call enlightenment. In that process, the physiology shifts, so you are purifying out a lot of stress. You know, like one saint said, after enlightenment, you've only gotten rid of 1% of your stress. And then, what do you do from there? Okay, you live life, but you can do these different techniques. Anything, it becomes a technique if you approach it properly. Hands-on. The reason I stopped doing hands-on healing, one of the main reasons, I just got tired of, I think this kind of
The gunk.
swimming around in their gut.
You go home and you take a shower and you can't get it off.
I just got it's just too much stress out there, which is why. Oh, and I used to tell the students that, they all want a technique, how to do this, and so I realized what I'm really teaching is spirituality, because if they get spirituality, then they're living, being, merging, knowing, and doing. Cultivating those principles, it doesn't stop. It's not until you're immortal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the whole physiology is seamless. And that's a long process, far beyond enlightenment, you know? So in the world, a lot of times, oh, is this person enlightened? Well, let's see if they walk around very serene. That's all really personality based more than anything else. All right. Scotty, anything else?
No, I think you guys did it. It was great.
All right. Well, that was fun.
That's really fun.
It'd be fun if you guys live in Arizona.
Yeah.
If you lived here, we could do these podcasts more frequently. So that's a lot of fun. It'd be fun having you guys around. I really enjoy Mark and your kids and all that. Yeah.
Boy, it was good to come back to Mount Soma.
Huh.
Just the land and the feeling and the stillness and, you're here, the old just felt like coming home.
Really a lot of visit Mount Soma. Definitely the feeling is here and the quality of the transcendence is certainly welling up through and enlivened. And what we want to do then is complete the construction. It's a whole technology, right out of Vastu, right out of Sthapativedi. It's a whole technology where you can build a beacon light that radiates that value out and transforms society, the world.
It was amazing. I went into the temple, and boy, it just brings you right in.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm so busy and stuff, and a lot of times, because the temple's just down. Busy, and God, it's overwhelming, just too much, and sometimes I'll just go up, walk in and sit down in the temple for 5 minutes.
It's amazing.
And it just settles things right down, and I go back into it.
Yeah.
We need to complete this enlightened city, and I've talked about this, but according to ancient cognitions and all these different sources, they're all saying the same thing, that this is the time of the phase transition from Kali Yuga, age of ignorance, into Sat Yuga, brief period of Sat Yuga in the midst of Kali, Sat Yuga, age of purity. And so it's going to happen. The question is, how's it going to happen?
Yeah.
Is it going to happen through this or is it going to come about gradually? And I remember I said to Punishji once, I said, I was kind of being playful, or I don't know, I just wanted to hear what he had to say. And I said, well, it's going to happen. And once it does happen, at the rate we're going, it's going to happen before we finish Mount Soma. Yeah. And he was absolutely right. He said, that's what's going to maintain it.
Yeah.
Because it could last 1,000 years or it could last 100. I mean, I knew that, but it was nice to hear him say it out loud,
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel the chaos and the stress. I mean, it's everywhere. Just turn on the news and wow, it's all over. But you can also feel there's something else happening.
I agree with that.
It's really cultivating.
That's right.
In the consciousnesses of people.
I agree.
I can really feel it strongly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are caught up in the surface so much that they see this stuff going on in Minneapolis or Iran or whatever, and the world's a mess.
Get into the fear.
But it's different now. You can feel that there's, like you said,
something coming up.
There's something coming up.
It's strong and it's steady and
And,
so this is the crazy dirt on the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's bubbling out.
It's bubbling out.
It's purifying out. It's being pushed out. And the same they say about, by the way, sumo. It's all the same.
Yeah.
As that opens and as it flows, it pushes stress out of the physiology, and it's not pleasant.
No, it usually isn't.
That's right. Because you've experienced that with meditation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a way, it's embarrassing because I notice sometimes I'm trying to take the foil off of and it just doesn't come off easily, and I catch myself just frustrated, angry.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? But it's right out of the deadlifting. Takes all those little knots out of the silk fabric, and when it does that, the energy starts to flow, the stress comes out, and you're just crazy.
Well, I think fascia is really an energetic.
Absolutely.
Physical, but I think there's an energetic quality to fascia that's kind of unique in the body, I think.
No question about it. It's
And
like
so you let one of those things through and you feel the twang
it's
as it
the
comes out.
the second nervous system.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
One last thing, and that is we talked about the web and the fascial sheath and all that. There was a woman, she's pretty good on YouTube. I don't mean to say it that way, but I like some of the stuff she does, I really do. And she had like these bags that look like they're fishnets. People use them to go shopping because you stick them in your pocket or, you know. And so she had a jug of water in there, a fishnet bag. She was carrying it in the fishnet bag. And then she was saying, imagine your arm is also a fishnet bag. This thing where the tension is distributed through. It's not just one little point.
Yeah.
And that gave a nice illustration of what the fascial web is like.
Yeah.
You know, and can you see, you know, there's a video of a guy with IBW. It's hard to believe. You look at it and you say, is this real? But, you know, people attack him and he'll just kind of move his hand like this and they fall on the ground. And then the it's just if all that fascia is flowing and it's all integrated, then all you're doing is connecting your silk web with their silk web.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're going to end on this. Here's a nice one. And then usually the way they illustrate this, we won't do it, but you stand up and you take my wrist and push, and you can't move me.
Yeah.
But then what you do, and I'll show you, I don't have to watch. Yeah, okay, you can take it up. That's good. All right. And then what you do, see, you can push this way. You see how you could rip. Just under the skin. There we go. Can you feel that?
Totally.
Just under the skin, and now I'm going through your shoulder.
I can totally feel that.
Yeah.
All the way up
And then you can even extend. What am I doing now? See, there's the fascial sheath goes underneath the skin all over the whole body.
Yeah.
So you can connect to it and go down into the pelvis. That's how a 120-pound person can put.
That's really amazing. I mean, I know this, and I've even experienced some of that kind of stuff. But when you just did it, it was like, oh my gosh, I can also feel I have some stuff up here with my fascia. You know, as it went through, I was like, oh, there's a glitch there. Yeah.
But it illustrates the point. It's all about the fascia.
Yeah. And not effort and not force. I mean, that was so much more gentle. But if you had, you know, taken my arm and pushed it.
That's right.
I could see that you could move a whole person through that.
There are things on YouTube. You'll see them where they. Just that way.
It's always amazed me.
Yeah, and so that's how this Dr. Wong, who's a master, really, you can get the first one. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. It was fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. If she comes to Mount Soma again, we'll film with her again. And it's possible. I'm thinking about going to California. And if so, who knows? If so, you know what? We could film from the classroom, a bunch of us. All right, everybody, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you again next.